Welcome back. Sorry about that interruption. As I've stated in some previous videos, I've been having some technical difficulties. I need to upgrade my hardware. I'm hoping that YouTube will have enough sense to automatically connect these two separate videos. So on the hope that that does work out, I'm simply going to show this card one more time. As I said, your status card here is the challenge, and it is speaking to this desire and this energy of unmasking, going within, seeking within. It is a return to some type of childhood love, some type of childhood enjoyment. So all in all, not a bad status card, but there's a lot of energy coming from that card. Gotta take a moment here. Okay. Okay, your challenge card is one that has come up a lot recently, and it's definitely speaking to this status card very loudly. I'll show it to the cam here. Your challenge card is the Lady of Leprechauns. The intuitive message that came through when I turned this card over very loudly is, as I said, speaking to unmasking. This challenge is talking about a confliction between illusion and things that are closer to the heart. So as I said, with the status card, the theme thus far with this reading has been, looking back into the past and looking within, seeking the self, to find a sort of hidden magic that was lost. Also, there are a lot of entities in this card, and I'm getting that feeling coming through now, and it's speaking to spirit trying to reach forward. It's talking about like guides, energies, thought forms, your higher self, however you'd like to interpret that, but it is definitely speaking to creativity and energies outside of the self trying to aid you in making this decision. Okay. Also, another message that's coming through now for this card is a sort of, I don't want to say a fixed view, but it's an attentiveness to some of the masks and illusion. So what I'm getting from this card is that is also a part of this challenge. The difficulty of sort of tearing your attention away from things that aren't speaking to the heart of the matter, and particularly aren't speaking to your own heart, your own individuality. Definitely it's talking about looking further, as I said, to the self. Wow. Very fitting card here, and one that has come up occasionally recently. Okay. So your solution or tool card here is the Queen of Bedlam. Turn it up so that you can see it. The intuitive message that came through when I turned this card over came through very loudly, and it's speaking to a stepping away from excess. Also, there's a very strong like status feeling and message coming through with this card. And here, with it being reversed, it's speaking to this sort of a sort of humility. It's about not being in the center of the spotlight. It's about setting the ego aside, being humble, trying to ground yourself. As I said there too, and to some degree this is about solitude. Not complete solitude, mind you, but one of the strong messages that's coming through with this card is coming very fast now. The figure in this card is surrounded by all of these mythical creatures, and this is sort of like distraction, and it's more pointing toward what I mentioned here with your challenge card. These distractions and these people are perpetuating those illusions and those things, you know, that are taking you away from the self and the heart. So definitely there again, the solution card is talking about looking within, and particularly stepping away from being in the spotlight and stepping away from an excess in sort of worldly goods, an excess in sensory perception even. A lot of energy in this reading. Okay. Okay. I like this for an outcome card. Yeah. Alright. Your outcome card here is the Crone. The intuitive message that came through with this card, it's sort of multifaceted. Although this card is reversed in some ways, the message of the card is still very strong. The nose of the face on this card is pointing to the sphere, which is sort of like an inner pearl. And so this outcome card is speaking to that fact of seeking the self, seeking that pearl, and hence finding illumination, you know, abundance and harmony, goodness in your life. There is a strong contrast between light and dark here in this card, but the impression and the message that's coming through is that there is a lot more light than dark, and definitely, as I said, there's that tunneling, that seeking toward the self to find the answer. So I think this is a very positive outcome card, and as I said, it's very in line with the rest of the reading. Finding that jewel therein, if you decide to use, you know, what was presented via your tool card, that's going to be a really good thing. I'm getting the impression that's coming through here, not only, you know, in the physical sense of like money or a change in a job or like something, prosperity in that sense, but definitely prosperity in the sense of community and connection with other people, of wealth there in that arena, particularly with this outcome card. Okay, card's not ready. Okay. Hmm. Alright. So your personal card here is Oh No. And it is reversed. I'll show it to the camera first. Here again, my apologies for the blaring reflection on the cards. As I said earlier, I'm working with pretty limited technology. Take a moment to look closely at the card. There will be something in this card that speaks directly to you. As I always say, if you have trouble seeing the card and the image, let me know. I can send you a better picture. The intuitive message that came through with this card speaks to the fact that even though it's reversed, that's not necessarily relevant here with this reading. It is sort of taking a light-hearted approach to some challenges and difficulties that you've been going through, in the sense of not making them so much of a big deal that they inhibit your path. It is the impression I'm getting here from this card. Also, there is balance in this card, and that balance is coming out now, and it's simply saying being able to do both, being able to enjoy life and have fun, and at the same time do that inner work that was mentioned in your tool card, to find that abundance that you're seeking. So yeah, there's a lot of possibility here in this personal card as well, and there again, most of this card is completely white, and so that speaks to me of that harmony and that balance and light, and abundance. So yeah, very positive personal card, I think. Show it to the camera yet again. All in all, I think this was a very positive reading. The technical difficulties aside, as I said, there's a challenge, and the challenge here is a sort of indecision. It's a division of the self, and to some degree a focus on illusion, on illusionary things that aren't necessarily relevant or meaningful. And there with your tool card, it's all about seeking within, stepping away from the trappings of the world, particularly moving away from distractions caused by people, like not having a court of people or followers, finding your own path outside of that. And yeah, very positive outcome card here with the Pearl of Wisdom. Yeah. As I always say with these readings, if you have further concerns or questions about your reading, definitely let me know. Send me a message via email or Facebook. I'm certainly glad to look into things further. Take a moment here to put these cards back in the deck and allow some of those energies to dissipate. Those two are supposed to be together. Okay. Shuffle the cards here for a moment. Let the card sit there and allow some more of that energy to dissipate. Take a breather here. me further connect my energy to the cards and connect this next reading with my friend Marissa. Okay. Supposed to be turned over. Hmm. Okay. Your status card here is one that has not come up lately. There's a lot of intensity to this card, and the intuitive message that's coming through is complex. I'm going to go ahead and show it to the camera. Your status card is the Speaker of Truth. As I said, there's complex messages coming through here with this card. On the one hand, the name of the card itself is speaking very loudly, in the sense it is talking about speaking the truth, being honest. However, when I turned the card over, intuitively I was specifically drawn to the face of this figure, and this face is stoic and separated and set aside. So this is sort of speaking to a sternness of, like, I know this to be true, and I'm being kind of rigid about it. So yeah, there's a dualism here in this card. Definitely, I do feel that there is truth coming through, in this status, in this moment, whatever this is about. However, this card is speaking to the fact that, as I said, there's a bit of sternness, there's separation. Maybe even there's some friction being caused by this knowing. So they're in a kind of complicated status card to begin with. Okay, card's not quite ready yet. Hmm. Card that has come up a few times recently. And not surprisingly, to some degree, it connects to that status card. Wow. Okay. So your challenge card here is the Lady of Unicorns. The intuitive message that came through as soon as I turned this card over was very loud. It is speaking to the whole sort of, there's a polarity with unicorns, and having one horn, it's single. Also, unicorns are thought to represent purity. Inherent there's a lot of light in that idea of purity in unicorns. At the same time, unicorns are also often depicted and considered separate. And that's standing out very much so in this card and coming through in the message. This central figure is very separate and sort of surrounded by the darkness of her hair. The art itself of the card is separating her from all the other figures in this card. And she sort of has this regal status, with the horn. So there, as I said, it's speaking back to this separation that's coming from this truth. Whatever this truth is here in this status card is causing a separation, and that in and of itself is becoming a challenge and a difficulty. Okay. Hmm. Okay. More duality here. Okay. So your solution or tool card here is the temptation. There's another complex message coming through with this card as well. Came through very loud and very fast, and this is, think of how to put it into words, and I'll try to slow it down. This is very loudly speaking to duality. Although these two figures are separate in this card, one is quote unquote light and one is dark. They are connected via the roots of this tree and all the other, like the limbs and the branches in this tree. So it's speaking to connection and that duality. Also, I'm kind of getting the impression that to some degree part of this, the name of this card, temptation, it's coming through in the sense that a part of the self is being tempted to reach out or to make a compromise, but there's some resistance, I think inherent to this challenge card here. So in a way, this card is saying be willing to give in to that temptation and understand that it's not necessarily a bad thing. Definitely coming through with the card is that notion and idea of grounding, and connecting with others, with other people. There aren't a lot of other figures here in this card, but the sense of community and connection is coming through very, very loudly and very strongly. Card's not quite ready yet. Okay, there's still more messages coming through with this card. I have to go back to it. There's a further element to the images here and a further part of that message. This is also speaking to temptation, as I mentioned a while ago, but this is separate in the sense that on the other side of the coin, there is this temptation to be this unicorn person, bathed in light, being correct and right about this truth or what have you. Um, and as I said, that causing a separation. So the other voice that's coming through with this card is the fact that the darker figure here, as I said, is in this tree. He is rooted to the ground, and his limbs are spread all over the card here. So therein, it's about communication, and to that degree, avoiding the temptation of wanting to be so much in the light and being focused on being right, because that doesn't always serve us. So yeah, as I said, a lot of complicated messages coming through with that card. Okay. Wow. I like this as an outcome card here. It's another complex card. The message that's coming through is complex. Okay. Your outcome card is the bright spark. The first part of this intuitive message that came through with this card is the fact that the head of this figure here in the card is illuminated, via flame or a spark. And this is talking about receiving information from above, like a higher self, spirit guides. It's a higher, heightened awareness, which there again is very positive. Also, this figure in this card is also just sort of floating out in midair. And while some of this pose seems rigid, it's actually pretty relaxed. So I'm getting that impression of freedom and just, being okay, being at ease. Definitely ease is coming through very loud with this card. And the central figure of this card, the only figure in this card, is very illuminated, and the background is dark. And so the figure is standing out, and that is further speaking to me of a very positive outcome. All in all, I think, yeah. It speaks to ease, and as I said, it speaks to higher knowing, which we touched on here with this tool card. So yeah, pretty positive outcome, all in all. Okay. Another part of the message that's coming through with this card is also the fact that this figure has wings, and it's speaking to that transformation. The transformation of being, separate and a unicorn, and moving forward, as I said, to a greater sense of community and connection, despite that knowledge. Okay. Give me a moment here. Okay. Wow. Okay. I think this is really fitting with the rest of the reading here. One I've seen a couple times lately. So your personal card here is the Fixer. I'm going to give my impressions and the intuitive messages that came to me for this card, but as I always say, with this personal card, take a moment and look closely at the image yourself. There will be something in this image that will speak directly to you, and it may or may not be my interpretation nor the message that I receive. So this card was reversed, and it is speaking to the reversedness of that, and it so interconnects to the flow of this reading, because this is saying, don't feel that you have to fix things with your truth that you discovered here. This is saying, set the tools aside, and set that idea of being right aside, and move in harmony, rather than trying to get in there with a bunch of tools and fix things or change things so that they fit your version of the truth. Yeah, very, I think, positive personal card in a sense, because really it's just saying sort of take a breath, let go, and be more open and willing. So yeah, not a bad personal card here. I'll show it to the camera yet again. As I always say, if you have trouble seeing the image clearly, let me know via a message and I'll send you a better quality image of it. So yeah, I think all in all a very positive reading. The messages and the cards came through in a very complex way. A lot of energy in the readings this evening. But as I said, a very positive outcome, being illuminated, getting that wisdom from your higher self, and being at ease, finding ease and peace and a reconnection with people. If there again, you're willing to set this truth aside, whatever it is. Also, too, here I'm getting another message. These cards keep throwing out messages. I'm getting another message here that this is also simply just about, it's about being willing to not always be the one to say, oh, like, well, here's what it is, etc., etc. So there's a sort of infamy along with this status card of like being known as the one who's right or the one who tells it as it is. So your tool and your approach to making changes with the challenge of that is there again, just to sort of embrace humility to a degree, lay the sword down, and simply focus on connection and communion. Yeah, these cards really wanted to speak in this reading. A very positive reading, I think, overall. As I always say, if you have further questions about your reading, definitely send me a message. Let me know, and I'm willing to look further into it therein. If you know anyone who would be interested in a free reading, I am doing free readings right now, so definitely let me know about that. Have them contact me, and I'll be glad to do a reading for them. I believe that's all I want to include in this video. There aren't any further things that I want to update at the moment. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it short. I hope all of you are well. As I usually say, I send you love and light, compassion and harmony. If all goes well, I will speak with you soon.